let me welcome Mr. Gregorio Davidas, Deputy Head of Unit Environmental Sustainability from European Commission.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good morning to all, and thanks for inviting DG Agri to this very interesting event, because indeed we are policymakers. We do legislation. This is what is our core business. So we want to learn how this regulation can provide for the enabling conditions for the nudges, and this is what interests us. Is the regulation we're doing well able to steer the transition, to steer the behavior towards different models, toward different schemes or systems. So this is, well, I have 1 minute, but I hope that I can go a bit beyond to explain the EC's vision on environment and climate sustainability and its transition towards sustainable system. I think 1 minute will not be enough, but
no, not 1 minute. We want to hear your part, yes. No worries.
Thank you. No, I'll focus actually on three main elements. So first, what are the main challenges that we currently have? But I think that you are quite familiar with that. Also, what is the EC, the European Commission, proposing in the last couple of years and in the years to come for these environmental and climate challenges? And thirdly, a focus on the CAP. So what is currently the CAP doing, and a bit but very quick broad brush reference to the future of the CAP, where we put the focus and how we think that we can steer the transition. So just to get it started, these are the main challenges that we have identified, that we have evaluated, and that we know the impact. There are many studies about it on climate change adaptation and on mitigation, natural resources, soil, of course, being degraded, organic matter also lacking in our fields, water retention capacities with events related to very extreme floods and droughts. The nutrients, we just published yesterday the Fertilizer Action Plan for the EU, a quite important document that will steer also the EU in the direction of replacing mineral fertilizers. Also on water quantity and quality, quite stress on many river basins, so both in terms of quantity but also in terms of quality, pollution, runoff, agriculture being one of the main pressures for water pollution, air quality, ammonia, also 90% of the cause of air quality situation is related to ammonia emissions, so quite impactful, the sector that we're talking about here. Is on biodiversity, also declining farmland, biodiversity, landscape features, well, not present enough in a quite intensive agricultural systems in some member states, negative effects on pesticides. So, I mean, this is a very wide picture where we stand and what are the main challenges in terms of environment and climate for the agriculture sector. A bit of a reference to the climate change impact. You are familiar with the trends, with the risks. There are already many studies. There is a quite comprehensive European risk assessment of climate change. So we know that agriculture is at the forefront of this impact, and also in some cases also root cause also for this situation, and we have to provide also our contribution to this. There are many losses that have been estimated in 4.5 billion per year due to these severe droughts and floods. So it's, as we all know, better to prevent than later to restore. So this is a bit the situation, quite alarming in several fronts. And what is the Commission? And this is just an inventory of things that would require some more time to explain, but just to list what are the main initiatives that we've gone through in the recent period, in last year, this year. So first of all, we have this updated climate law for 2040. We maintain our commitment for a carbon neutral continent in 2050. We will adjust the targets in the third quarter of this year to cater for this climate neutrality. There are several options we are considered, of course, with clear impact on what is the role of agriculture, what is the role of the LULUCF, what is the role of forestry and agriculture in meeting these targets. That will be quite important for the sector in order to steer a direction, again, in order to stimulate behaviors, be it with incentives, being with other market models that could steer behaviors into a different direction. And then we're coming up with, with these methodologies for carbon farming. This is a clear enabling condition so the farmers can see benefits, economic benefits for a change of behavior. So in order to market these carbon credits and to adopt different practices, they can have a benefit. And of course, also for climate. And this new integrated framework for climate resilience, also Q3 2026, this will be the benchmark for climate adaptation in the EU. So this is also going to be a very important cornerstone of our climate policies. And this adaptation is actually, as I will show you, not very present in the current CAP strategic plans in the member states, how they steer the sector towards a better adaptation. On natural resources, we have a brand new soil monitoring law, first time in history that we have thing. We are putting it forward with adequate monitoring system indicators. We have advanced quite a lot in measuring the impact on soil of the practices with the JRC that we are supporting under the CAP. Very nice literature already available on what is the actual impact measurable in terms of nutrients, in terms of soils, and in terms of GHG emissions. So this is something that will also steer us in the future to be more accountable for what we do with the CAP money. Nutrients, we did this evaluation of the nutrient directive, renewable products, fertilizer action plan, evaluation of the nitrate directive coming up in the next quarter. The water, as you know, we had this water resilience strategy, also with very interesting initiatives, ideas, and actions to be put forward. And on air quality, we're working with the JRC and the member states on the new operating rules for the Industrial Emission Directive in order to set limiting values for large installations. As you know, the revision of the Industrial Emission Directive covered a much wider share of poultry and pigs. We are analyzing if beef and cattle should be included. So this is on climate change, natural resources, and of course, the nature restoration plans, they are coming in the next month. So in June 2026, let's see what the member states put forward. What is the ambition of this nature restoration plan? What is the role of the CAP? What is the role of agriculture? But this is also quite promising avenue to steer on a voluntary nature the behavior of a certain type of operators that have a role in restoring nature. So this is the big Commission initiatives. This is just to point to some data so that you are a bit more maybe familiar with what the CAP is currently doing in terms of soils, carbon sequestration, fertilizer use. This is not enough, but I think it's quite a contribution already. The CAP is being used for commitments, practices for farmers that are willing to engage in certain type of practices to improve soils, natural resources in general, biodiversity and climate sequestration and removals. Also on organic farming, of course, as our pioneer system for sustainability. So this is what the current CAP is doing. Our weakest point, let me be very frank and open with you, it's climate adaptation. There is not enough on climate adaptation. We need to do more. We need landscape approaches. We need territorial approaches. We need farmers to get engaged. We need the value chains also to be present in this climate adaptation. So there are many things to do in terms also of water resilience, very much linked to this climate adaptation. So on these two levels, we know there is a lot to do. So this is also where we will put also the focus also for the next CAP. We're preparing the recommendations for the CAP, the future CAP. So there are many things ongoing, and we know where the focus should be put. So I hope that the member states will follow. This is a shared management policy, so it's not for us actually to make at the end the choices. But we have steering mechanisms. We can push them in certain directions, and we have the regulatory framework also to set certain type of obligations. So this is where we are. Just for the future, this is very quickly the vision, what the vision said on sustainability, on environment and climate, on the future-proof sector. So this was the title of the vision. And these are, well, a bit the main lines that there were already pointed in this document that was also quite inspired with this strategic dialogue that took place with all the stakeholders, and this report that was unanimously, including Copa-Cogeca, signed by all the stakeholders. There you see what are the main lines, and nothing new: climate, natural resources, biodiversity. It pointed to this on-farm sustainability compass. There has been already a couple of meetings with sectors, what we want to measure, what is the sustainability compass about, what are the indicators that are more suitable to compare, to do peer-to-peer. And this is a mechanisms that, for me, it's very nudging, if I can use this expression, because this would allow the farmer to compare to the neighbor, to compare to the sector, how my peers are doing in terms of economic performance, in terms of environmental performance, climate performance, social performance. So, and this is something that the farmers can get inspiration from to improve and to say, I want to become better in terms of environment, in terms of, so this is something that is for me quite promising. We are launching that. It's only starting now. And of course, this water resilience that it's already proposed. Finally, with the future CAP, this is not about the future CAP. So it's being contested by many. We are just starting the process with the council, with the parliament. There are many ideas floating around. What are we doing in terms of putting the enabling conditions? Well, first of all, we have a simple toolkit. So we are merging all the instruments into these agro-environment climate actions, which are currently eco schemes and agro-environment climate commitments. So this is something that will be simpler to plan, to design, and hopefully for the farmers also to participate. But let me put the focus on these transition payments, because I think this is what we're talking here today, how to de-risk the transition. I mean, what the farmers need in order to push them in a direction where they don't see that they are being manipulated, they see that they have the adequate incentives, and they have an endpoint where to go. And this endpoint is recognized by the authorities and by society. And this is what we try to do with these transition payments, something that is farmer-centered. So it's the farmer who is coming up with a transition plan, where they want to go, what type of transition they want to engage on, and with an amount that reflects actually all the necessary costs, risks, operational practices, investments, you name it, everything that is required to perform and to complete the transition over a period of time. For me, this can be potentially a quite impactful instrument in order to steer the transition. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.